What's happening right now? Look, I've got one now, look. Good morning, lovely viewers. Today we are going to Lake Babesy and it's the crack of dawn and we're going ice fishing. So we'll see you there. What's that in Estonia, Christina?
Ma ei tea, jääaugu kala püüdma.
Pescataria! Before we head out to location, I thought I would show you what we wore to stay warm whilst ice fishing. Basically, loads of layers. There will be a few clips throughout the video where I narrate because it was very windy on the ice, so apologies for that in advance. This is N, our fishing guide for today, and an absolute legend.
Küsid, kui kaua sa, mitu aastat sa oled käinud kalal?
Ühesõnaga järve peal või üldse?
Järve peal.
Selle järve peal 42 aastat.
42 years.
Väga tubli.
Ja hakkasin käima kalal üldse 6-aastaselt ja nüüd see on 70.
I started fishing in general when he was only 6. Now he's become 70.
We also asked him if the lake froze every year.
Üks aasta me üldse ei saanud teha.
Not 1 year it didn't at all, but usually yes.
Ja nüüd on niimoodi, vaata kui paks jää, ta on ütleme pool meetrit vähemalt. Tema vasaku vähe.
Ta peaks olema teise pöördega. Ta on parema käeline.
Parema käeline?
Jaa. Wait, wrong way, because he thought you were left-handed.
Parema käeline, hoia vasakuga.
Top arm is left hand.
Left arm?
Yeah, vasak, parem.
Quick.
Pull it out. Pull it. Yeah, again. Then, lovely. Aitäh.
Vene keeles ikka rohkem.
Хорошо, ta oskab.
N was really passionate about fishing and he was really enthusiastic to show us everything he knew. Basically, we fish a hole for about 10 minutes and if there's no fish, we move on. Go on, Annie.
Ja kuulajad.
That's it. Straight down, Annie. Straight down. That is Evelina in the background. She lent us some equipment and keep an eye on her throughout this clip as she catches our first fish of the day. Wow. Miss nimi on?
Ohven.
Väga ilus.
Parema käeline. Ta ei tea, miks ta vasak. Hold it with your right.
At first I thought you needed to hold the rod with your left hand and then reel it in with your right hand, but it turns out that the reel is just for adjusting the depth when setting the lure, and if you have a bite, you just reel in the fish by pulling the line itself. I struggled at first with the rod twitching, and explained that it is all in the wrist, and I noticed you needed to lower the rod a centimetre or two before flicking up to generate the speed. So the rods are really quite minimalistic, more like toys. Do the job, but yeah, that's what you need. Ice fishing. I got a fish. Oh god, it's got little spikes on it.
Yeah, needles.
Whoa, do they hurt, those spikes? We actually moved around quite a lot on the lake trying to find a good spot. En had lost his flag that he'd used yesterday and said it was a really good fishing spot, but eventually we found it. My camera zoom actually helped to identify the flag as we were a good kilometre away from it and it was just a small speck in the distance. So we started to clear the snow and drill some holes. Notice my drilling technique compared to En's. Let the fishing commence. En was so experienced that he had this cool reeling in technique, and he even managed to hook a fish and then unhook it without even touching it. Evelyn also showed us some different techniques for luring in the fish. We were just using some sort of lure that flashed gold and red, but she had different lures with different baits, and it was quite interesting to see all the different techniques. And watching the end of the rod go up and down like that was very mesmerising. So I basically got to a point where I was getting one every 2 minutes. In you know, in those fishing programs, like Jeremy Wade's River Monsters, where he's like, and I just kept hooking more and more. That's a terrible impression of him, but this is what's happening right now. Look, I've got one now, look. Making this up for the camera. Oh, has he gone loose? So this was the biggest fish I caught that day, and I really enjoyed the whole experience, even though the weather did deteriorate throughout the day. Christina wanted to catch and return one fish, and just listen to En.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after 6 hours on the ice, we headed back to land and enjoyed the bumpy ride.
Aga täna oli nii enam-vähem.
Mul on saunalaval ka jääkülmad jalad, nii et